Hello, welcome to Baseball Insiders. Happy Friday. We are live. My mic is muted. Not sure why, but now it's not. So who cares? We're back. Thank you for joining us. I'm Adam Weinrib, joined as always by FanSided MLB insider Robert Murray. And you know what? We're ending the week. Friday show, loose show. The question we get most often, probably in the Discord, cumulatively, is my manager or my GM getting fired? When are they getting fired? How soon are they getting fired? How many firings are we doing? So we want to go through several of the teams we've been asked about, whether they'll make changes. If they are going to make changes, how fast the changes will come. We're going to be talking through several of the teams that we know you're going to ask about, and a couple that I've had on my mind as well, just from reading the tea leaves in the Twitterverse that I want Robert's opinion on. We are live on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3:30 Eastern, Monday and Friday, 1 o'clock on Wednesdays. And guess what? We are currently live on TikTok as well. So if you found us on the FanSided TikTok, welcome. This is the Baseball Insiders. We do a podcast about baseball. Robert Murray is an MLB insider. He tells us what's up. I yell and scream a lot, and then he tells me what's actually happening. And I couldn't do the show without him. Robert Murray, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here. It's good to know that I wasn't losing my mind. I thought like my hearing was gone for a little bit as I watched the show, like start with no sound, but we're here. We're at Friday. I think today's Friday at least. So happy Friday to you and everyone watching the show. We have a lot to talk about in baseball today. A lot of people pressing the panic button with their teams, and we're going to kind of dissect whether or not you should actually panic or not panic. So I'm ready to dive into that. Adam, good to be here. Happy Friday. How you doing?
Good to be here. I'm having a good Friday, although I will say the Yankees benching Jason Dominguez has been brought up in the comments already. Owning righties, he's been pretty good. He's also been pretty bad lately. So you know what? I actually don't have a problem benching him for Trent Grisham, who's been unbelievably good. But I hear you. You want rookie development to be a little bit linear, but sometimes you got to roll with a guy who has 8 homers this year already, and that's Trent Grisham. So we'll see what happens there. I'm not pressing the panic button on Dominguez, though. And the Yankees are not one of the teams we plan to talk about today. Although, as Yoda is the man noted, surely the Angels must be one of these teams. Yes, they are. Thank you for checking in. We would have talked about them anyway, but we plan on it. Appreciate it. Again, live on YouTube, live on TikTok, on all your podcast feeds in the aftermath. Join the Discord if you have not. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, but you can also join us in the Baseball Insiders Discord. Robert is there in the Rumor Mill channel at 3 o'clock Eastern on Thursdays doing a private Q&A. You can always ask Robert and I questions between shows. Eric Cole, the co-host of the Prospect Show, which runs Tuesday at noon, is in the Discord as well if you have questions for Eric. That is a fun perk, and we're always looking to create more perks. We now have a live game watch channel too. If you are watching your team and you're hating it, you're crashing out, take the crash out to the game watch channel. I'll be right there with you if Cody Bellinger continues to have a 500 OPS. Zach, again, in the comments, I don't want to bench Cody Bellinger right now. Got more of a track record than Jason Dominguez. I promise you, this will all sort itself out. I believe. And if I'm wrong, then you know what? I'll take a long walk off a short pier. Robert, you can also read Robert's content and my content in the Moonshot. That's our weekly baseball email newsletter, where Robert, myself, and the rest of the FanSided MLB team break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, behind-the-scenes info. You can also read that and more on the Baseball Insiders feed on fansided.com. Fansided.com/baseball-insiders. It's where you get the latest rumors and notes from Robert, humor and insight from yours truly, and the best of baseball and pop culture from the FanSided MLB staff writers. So check that out. All right, let's dive into some teams whose fan bases are already pressing the panic button. They want to see change, whether it's front office, manager, dugout, lineup, rotation, what have you. And the question is, are these floundering teams, are the fans correct? Should the team already be pressing the panic button, heads rolling, or is it May 2nd? Is it not time yet? And I'm going to start off with a team whose fans are raging the last couple of days because of 2 terrible performances, admittedly, in Toronto, where the Red Sox blew a 6-0 lead late in Lucas Giolito's debut, and then blew a late save yesterday after Tanner Houck was actually pretty great with his velo and his stuff ticking up. Justin Slayton and Alex Cora combined to decide to pitch to Vlad Guerrero Jr. Does not go so well. Red Sox lose a series in Toronto. I understand the Red Sox fan frustration. Alex Bregman has been an instant culture changer so far. He's hitting like a madman, but also they're 17-16. And they have more talent than last year. They have a lot of talent. some of the most talented in the American League. So I understand why you're upset. That said, seeing a bunch of people calling for Alex Cora's job or Andrew Bailey to pay the price or some sort of overhaul. My favorite tweets too. Red Sox fans saying, except for 2018, Alex Cora has always underperformed. Oh, except for that year where he won 108 games in the World Series. A pretty big outlier. I am team Alex Cora is a good manager. I hate him. I think he's a guy you love to hate, but I think he's a great manager. And so, question to Robert Murray, I brought these tweets to your attention and you were immediately very upset by them. So I'm going to throw it over to you.
Yeah, Adam brought this up to me before the show, and I'll be honest, I did not know there was people in Red Sox fandom who actually wanted Alex Cora fired. And to me, that is asinine. It's stupid. It should not even be a thought in your heads whatsoever. Alex Cora is a terrific manager. He's one of the best in baseball, respected. His ability to command that clubhouse is among the best in baseball. And you don't this feels like a case where you wouldn't know what you have until it would be gone. And you're not going to do much better than Alex Cora. Like, I don't know what exactly you would hope to find. I think if you fired Cora, what you'd want to, or what you'd hope to find is actually a guy like Alex Cora. And I can't believe that's actually a thing. Even Adam, I think you even mentioned something about people wanting Andrew Bailey fired as well. He is on my very short list of guys who could be a manager next year. He is a tremendous pitching coach. And if you want either of those guys fired, you don't know ball. That's the simplest way to put it. So you guys got it really good in Boston with those guys running the show there. So be patient. Like, things are going to be fine. But you're not going to get any of those guys fired, because that is just totally, totally, totally crazy. I would expect to take like that from Hunter Miser, of all people, but not you Red Sox fans.
I mean, you might lose Bailey, but not to a firing, like you said.
No.
Who else is just curious on that short list of potential managerial candidates that come to mind right away for you?
I don't think he's ready quite yet, but Walker McKinven. I got to be around him in Milwaukee when he was their big analytics guy. He's now the bench coach with the White Sox. If things go really well for him, I would not be surprised if he could be a manager in the next couple of years. I thought that was a really strong move by the White Sox, even when they kind of feel directionless for the most part. But that was a really savvy hire by that organization there. I'm trying to let me think about some other options here real quick, because obviously Skip Schumacher is one of them as well, and we don't know if he's going to end up replacing Bochy in Texas when he's done, or what exactly the situation is going to be there. But he's obviously someone who's going to end up getting a job before too long.
Yeah, appreciate it. McKinven, obviously, this podcast is McKinven Hive. I will also say RG, Red Sox 18, I think tried to troll me by saying Celtics in 6, and I'm going to go ahead and say that troll didn't work, because anything longer than Celtics in 4 would be a disappointment. The Knicks are terrible. Someone's going to sweep. What are you talking about? You see Karl Anthony Towns last night? He had 9 points, and he fouled out. Glad the Knicks reached their ceiling. Now it's about figuring out what exactly they can do to become a championship caliber team this offseason. Very glad they got past the Pistons. I told some friends before that, when the Knicks were jockeying for the 3 versus the 4 seed, I was like, we sure we don't want to drop down and face the Bucks? And my friend said, absolutely not. Now, after the Pistons bludgeoned them for 6 games, and they played these razor-tight, thin games, somehow won 3 road games, though. Shout out Jalen Brunson, the absolute GOAT. The Knicks just did what they had to do. They won a first-round series. They will be losing to the Boston Celtics by a lot, and I think gentleman's sweep would be generous. But Celtics in 6, I don't know if that was supposed to be a troll or an I'm nervous prediction. The Knicks are going to get stomped. But either way, I appreciate he was being nice. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think you were being nice. I think you could maybe stand to be a little bit meaner. Let's go Celtics. The Celtics in 3. Not Celtics in maybe 2.5. The Knicks are going to throw in the towel. Celtics are very good. Excited for Celtics Cavs, but no, the Knicks are not good. Okay, what about Texas Rangers fans? Because I've seen a lot of complaints about needing to overhaul the offense, wake it up in some capacity. Nobody's looking to fire Bochy, but some changes to the coaching staff, something geared towards getting the Rangers closer to their preseason projections. And last night, Jake Berger does go down to AAA for a reset. So the Rangers are already taking chances here to try to figure out some way to ignite something. So panic button, I don't know, but obviously being proactive before it gets too bad Yes, it does seem like they're invested in taking care of business.
Totally. And we got to see Chris Young even admit publicly like the offensive struggles were really an issue for him and something that was bothering him. And when you send a guy like Jake Berger down, who is their big offseason acquisition on offense, that sends a very loud message to that organization as a whole, like that they mean business and that nobody is nobody is safe besides a guy like Bochy. I mean, you're not going to fire Bochy midseason, especially after you won the World Series with him a year and a half ago. But if this doesn't work for Berger, or if the offense continues to struggle, then you could possibly look at some coaching guys. And maybe a guy like Donnie Ecker could end up being a scapegoat there, or they can move on from him, or just someone in general who's tied to the offense. So I would not be surprised if we could see more action if those struggles continue. So the Rangers, to me, with how high the expectations were going in, they could end up making some moves. By the way, when you retweeted my tweet, Adam, I thought I misspelled baseball. So I saw that. I'm like, wait a second here. That'd have been really embarrassing. At least I didn't say the Basketball Insiders.
Although apparently, yeah, I did just give my playoff takes. I mean, here's how cued in on the NBA playoffs I am. I woke up this morning and saw people. I went to bed with the Clippers up like 12 yesterday or something. And I woke up and saw people complaining about the reffing and saying Clippers in 7. And I was like, oh my God, they blew that lead. And then I realized that was game 6. They were down 3-2, not up 3-2. So that's clearly how focused I am on the NBA postseason at this moment in time.
Doing a great job over there.
Yeah. I was like, wait, Clippers in 7? No, they won last night. And then I checked. Yeah, they did win. And also they didn't advance because that's how playoff series work. But I'm just, over here sweat watching the Knicks. Jalen Brunson, my favorite New York athlete since Derek Jeter. And I know
he's a ball. He doesn't pass.
Yeah.
I'm not a Jalen Brunson guy. That's my hot take of the day. I'm not a Jalen Brunson guy.
I think a lot of his rivals would agree with you. I think the city of Detroit would agree with you. But, man, as a Knicks fan, I haven't watched someone who can drill a clutch shot in my entire life since maybe Allen Houston and Larry Johnson. And I know the Knicks had Carmelo Anthony. I understand exactly what I'm saying. So Melo did not get superstar calls. Brunson does. It's very helpful. I'll say that. But go New York, go New York, go.
And Melo was never a superstar in my eyes. That's my other hot take of the day.
No. Melo's patented Knicks move was to drive to the hoop, get contact from 2 guys, miss a layup, and then go. And I get it. I mean, he wants the call, but it's never coming. It never did.
No. And I was about to be mean to Hunter again, but nope. Only one mean comment per podcast.
I mean, I'll give one. Imagine willingly watching Matas Buzelis and the joke Chicago Bulls. It might be the White Sox based on their jerseys. I don't even know. Well, we'll move along now. Hey, another team. We're getting into the real meat of the panic button discussion, because now we're getting to the teams that we get asked about 6 times a day. I will go to the Pittsburgh Pirates first. Because we have raged against Bob Nutting on this podcast repeatedly in recent weeks, months, years. Nothing will change until that changes, probably, although we hope that is not the case. That said, we are certainly getting closer to scapegoat territory in Pittsburgh, I would say, with Ben Cherington, with Derek Shelton. And, I mean, you want to talk about ridiculous. You've got Red Sox fans going after Alex Cora and Andrew Bailey. You got Pirates fans going after Paul Skeens for giving up 3 runs, gave up some homers to the Cubs. That was interesting. But now you're getting the tweets that you really start to get when fans get aggrieved, where they're tweeting like, I know you're not supposed to say this out loud, but 3 runs for Paul Skeens, our expectations have to be higher or whatever. And it's like, oh boy, here we go. So Pittsburgh, are we getting any closer to some sort of, I don't even know if you'd call it a panic move, but some sort of actual coaching change, infrastructure change in Pittsburgh?
I would think so. And that's not sourced info by any means. I don't want people to be aggregating this as like this is definitely not sourced, but their struggles are loud and clear, and their offense in particular is an absolute joke. And I feel bad for a guy like Andy Haynes, because he was fired last year because the offense was not good, but really, what was he given? There was not much whatsoever at all for him to work with. And they obviously signed Tommy Pham. They got Spencer Horwitz. They got some of these other guys, but Horwitz has not been playing at all, considering that he's been hurt. And it's just been an absolute dumpster fire in Pittsburgh. And my guess is eventually there will be a scapegoat, and most likely it will end up being manager Derek Shelton. Whether or not that's fair is to be determined. Because, and I'm not just saying this for Shelton, I'm saying this for Ben Cherington as well. Pittsburgh, specifically winning in Pittsburgh, is one of the most impossible jobs in sports, considering the lack of payroll and resources that are invested into that roster. And like you're basically set up to fail if you're being hired by the Pirates. And that's not a slight on any of those guys that are being hired. It's a slight on Bob Nutting. And until Nutting sells that franchise, they're not going to be any better. They're going to continue to have scapegoats. And this one's probably going to end up being Derek Shelton. He's a good baseball man. He's respected. He's a good leader. But it's just not working out in Pittsburgh. And yeah, that's why I'm thinking he's going to end up being the scapegoat here, not Ben Cherington.
Yeah, appreciate the pre-response to the questions that we're always going to get. I would agree with you, but again, you can only put. I don't even like saying put lipstick on a pig. It's mean to pigs. They got to wear lipstick around, but it does feel like making a move like Shelton is just sort of, making a move for the sake of making a move. What really changes? The underlying reasons why the Pirates are struggling do not change. Zach G. Carlos Carrasco is better than Skeens. Respect Carlos Carrasco, please. No, his Yankees tenure probably coming to an end soon, but it's been nice to see him for now. Further squads that I've got my eyes on. Two more we want to mention. And again, here is the home run. The earlier in the show mentioned Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, who here we are May 2nd. And I will say the meanest thing I can say about the Angels, it feels like an Angels season again. Ron Washington, who we talked about cleaning up the margins, sent two pitchers out to the mound accidentally the other day. One came out of the dugout and one came out of the bullpen. Like, that's a thing that happened in an Angels game. And you're seeing a lot of Angels comments that are the worst things you could say about a team. Like, I don't even hate this team anymore. I'm just apathetic. And yeah, that's a real bummer. But that's what I keep saying. Like, I have Angels fan friends who will not re-up their season tickets because they're like, I love baseball. I don't love this. Like, why would I pay for this? So where are we at in the Angels with Perry, with Ron Washington, with this team that seems to be stuck in purgatory more than ever? Before they were stuck in purgatory with Shohei Ohtani and healthy Mike Trout. Now they have neither, so I feel terrible about this. But they're stuck, maybe worse than any other team.
Yeah, they're stuck right now. And what happened the other day when there was two pitchers that were sent to the mound, that really kind of just highlighted exactly kind of how much of a dumpster fire it is right now with the Angels. And my guess is we're probably not close to anything happening with either Perry or Ron Washington. My guess is the Angels try to stay the course with those guys because Perry's actually done a decent job drafting and getting these guys to the major leagues. And Ron Washington is he's not the perfect manager by any means, but he'll teach the fundamentals. Well, I say that after he sent two pitchers to the mound.
Yeah, I thought so.
But that's tough. But he's, I think he's the right man for the job, at least as of this point. And so two thoughts that I have here with the Angels is they have such a history of firing managers that if you fire Ron Washington now or anytime soon, exactly how attractive of a candidate are you going to get with the Angels? Especially Washington, he is insanely respected around baseball. And if you fire him this early into his tenure, he's been there for a little over a year, that would be a really bad look to the organization. Perry was recently extended, I want to say in the offseason or right before that, wasn't he? I feel like that was the case. Look that up, Adam. It's like, I'm on it. Thank you for that. But firing either of those guys right now, it would not be smart at all for that organization. So I would expect both of those guys to stand pat. But then the Angels are also.
Perry was extended mid-season last year, and the MLB.com story about it is one of the most Angels stories ever. The Angels showed their trust in Minasian's vision ahead of Thursday's 5-3 loss to the Blue Jays. Agreed to a contract extension that'll keep him as the club's GM through the 2026 season. So basically the Tungsten Armo Doyle press release of GM extensions.
No, exactly. So it's very, that's very Angelsy, but, and also the Angels have gotten themselves in a lot of trouble by cutting the cord early on some of these guys, and just making rash decisions. And that falls squarely on Artie Moreno. And he could wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, we're going to clean house and do this. Like I say it on this podcast a lot. He is as unpredictable and as they come. But I don't see him making any of those big firings anytime soon.
Yeah. Again, everyone knows that could change on Artie's whim, but for now, they're going to stay the course. Somebody did bring up, though, a familiar Angels face. Joe Madden was brought up earlier in the chat as someone who could potentially get a second chance. Where do you stand on Joe Madden in today's game? I thought that was an interesting one. Sort of a pioneer of innovation with the Rays, took the Cubs to the mountaintop, a place they've never been before, but now 71 years old and sort of seen as someone with an outdated viewpoint after being, again, like the most innovative voice. Now every manager is like 42 years old and a former 220 hitting utility infielder, and Madden seems old school in comparison. So is he probably done as a major league manager?
I would think he's probably done, if I'm being real. And obviously, like his Angels tenure did not go very well at all. He's been very outspoken about that and like the changes in the game here. But he is still a really decorated manager for sure. What he did in Tampa, what he did with the Cubs, should not be forgotten at all, and did a tremendous job. He's one of my favorite people that I've ever gotten a chance to talk to. And just talking to him about obviously his rosters or his coaches or just, I don't know, just anything in general. It was really freaking fun. So I hope he gets another job, but I am not optimistic whatsoever. What do you think, Adam?
I would agree. And I haven't thought much about him other than I read his book, really enjoyed it. Like I have not thought about him as a viable major league manager since the day he left the Angels. No. And I think like we're going to maybe have to have a conversation about Hall of Fame managers. It's a short tenure for a Hall of Fame manager. And yeah, I don't know when he'll circulate on a ballot. So maybe that's not a conversation for now, but has nothing to be ashamed of. But yeah, past the age of 70, I don't really know why he would want to get back in the dugout when he could be a personality and he could be someone who remains at the fringes of the game, but doesn't have to go through the grind and certainly doesn't have to take over a team like the Angels.
No, exactly. I think that's dead on. But that Hall of Fame conversation with him is going to be really interesting. I think considering what he did for the Cubs and obviously what he did in Tampa, that conversation is worthy of being had for sure. So, mark me down as Joe Madden in the Hall of Fame. You know what? Yeah, mark me down for that, Adam.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, there's a lot of weird ones. Hall of Fame manager is a tough thing to determine. Like, I'll go to bat for Dusty Baker, but
for sure.
I understand that's a strange case. Like, that's a low winning percentage for a Hall of Fame manager. That's a low number of championships for a Hall of Fame manager. But I'm going to go ahead and check the box anyway, if given the chance. Probably not going to be asked, but hey, you never know. If it comes down to me, I'm putting Dusty in the Hall of Fame. But
wait, actually, no, I think I might actually have a chance at voting for Madden in the Hall. I don't know how many years it is in the Baseball Writers Association, but I might be there. So I don't know.
It's these committees are weird now too. Like the Hall of Fame, the veterans and the non-player committee, like the cycles are strange. So I don't know when Madden comes up, if he can get off the ballot, but I hope he does. I always liked him, and I think he can hang his hat and just say good career without heading back into wow, the worst thing Uncle Ted has ever heard is that Joe Madden is a Hall of Fame manager. That's a shame. That is really a shame. That's the worst thing that you've ever heard. Hope you come back to the podcast because we're going to say more bad shit in that case. One final team that I want to talk about that I don't think gets enough publicity with regard to trouble spots and future being uncertain is the Twins, because I think Rocco Baldelli again has a great rep. Again, 2019, AL Central flags fly forever, but the second half swoon has continued. Minnesota is just sort of off the rails, and they were my preseason pick to rebound. I don't know what's going on with the Twins. The injury bug doesn't even begin to cover it. It's like it's a roving hospital ward. But once upon a time, like Paul Molitor found success in Minnesota and then quickly found himself out of a job. Do you think there is a chance that if the second half swoon becomes an entire 2025 season swoon, that Rocco Baldelli's head rolls eventually?
I feel like it's possible, yeah. And I feel like there was some talk about it in the offseason, especially with how their season ended and their second half went last year, just how bad it was. But they decided to stay course, and they believed in Baldelli. And maybe he's a good manager for sure, but a lot of the same things that they did last year, they implemented this season, and it's just not worked out hardly at all. They're 13-19. They're in fourth place in that division. They're only, I think 5 games, or actually they're 4 games upon further review behind the Chicago White Sox, or ahead of the White Sox, I should say, which that is not what you want. And to me, like, that feels like there could be a scapegoat kind of situation, or just like a decision made where they move in a different direction. And I don't know if there's been any talk about that whatsoever. But also it's not to the degree of what the Pirates have had to deal with, but like, they have not invested much into that roster at all. It feels like for like the last however many months we've been talking about them possibly shedding payroll and whether or not, hey, could maybe a guy like Pablo Lopez get moved, or one of their hitters or whatever. I mean, it feels like the conversation is always being had. They're just not investing a lot into the roster. I was very surprised that they even had the money for a guy like Danny Coulomb, if I'm being real. But yeah, that to me feels like a situation where a change could be made.
I would agree, and I'm glad that we're on the same page, and B, talking about it, because the Minnesota Twins get undercovered because they are slipping into that weird purgatory zone. And yes, the Twins need to bring up Carson McCluster. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Now, time for me to Google who is Carson McCluster.
I thought that was Dexter McCluster at first, the old Chiefs running back.
Yeah,
wait a second.
The scat back punt returner.
Yeah, bring him DeAnthony Thomas too while we're at it. That was one of my favorite all-time highlight tapes, along with Tavon Austin growing up.
Tavon Austin's the one I will never forget. Percy Harvin, I'll throw out there.
Yeah. Wait, the amount of baseball, obviously baseball talk, but basketball and football talk on the podcast today. We're doing pretty good. This is the Sports Insiders podcast now from going forward.
It's a Friday show. And as Red Sox 18 noted, just getting my blood pressure up before the show ends, the Twins are coming to Fenway. The Red Sox schedule is insane. I was yelling about this on another podcast this week. The White Sox 7 times in April. The best team the Red Sox have played all year. The Rangers in the first series of the year, or the Mariners at home, where the Red Sox always seem to beat them at Fenway. The Red Sox are 17-16. They have not gotten in gear yet, but Major League Baseball certainly tried. They sure tried hard. That schedule is weak, limp, teeny tiny. So we'll see how the Red Sox shape up. I'm sure they'll ironically get better as they face better competition. But as of now, that schedule is looking very much designed in their favor to get them on track. Well, before I scream too much, Robert Murray, happy Friday. Good show. If you are pressing the panic button and you're a fan of certain teams, maybe you should be. A couple other teams got to take that finger off the button. Anything else in your notebook before we sign off and rejoin everybody next Monday?
No, I got nothing in the old notebook for now. That could change over the weekend. So I'll come back here on Monday to find out, but I've got some sort of stuff percolating behind the scenes, so that's fun.
It's a little bit of percolation. Well, that's how you tease another week of shows. If you have not subscribed, we'd love if you could do that. If you have not joined, please do. You even get member exclusive videos on the YouTube channel from Robert. So if you haven't been taking advantage of that perk, you really should be. Join us in the Discord, Rumor Mill All-Star. There's a game crash out feed. I'm sure you'll see me in there if Jason Dominguez has another at-bat. Jazz Chisholm is a high-grade oblique strain. That's what I'm being told right now. That's interesting. He said he wasn't even going on the said he wasn't even going on the IL. What a lunatic. Well, that's pretty terrible. Anyway, back to baseball. Back to signing off the podcast. We will see you next Monday. For Robert Murray, I'm Adam Weinrib. Take care and have a good weekend. Try to have as easy a weekend as the Red Sox April schedule. How about that?
No, there you go. I like how he said that. I'm going to try to check to see how long Jazz Chisholm's going to be out. Maybe stay tuned to my Twitter.
I mean, that's like 2-3 months probably.
Yeah, I'm checking right now. I'm sending a text right now.
Well, that's pretty bad.
All right. Well, I'll keep you guys posted. Stay tuned to my Twitter account. But Adam, I appreciate you. Joanne, our lovely producer, I appreciate you. We appreciate you, actually. Everyone in the comments, even you, Hunter, we appreciate you. See you back here on Monday, everybody.
See you, everybody.